invite Representative Gohmert. You have 5 minutes. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate the witnesses being here today. Since the Texas grid was mentioned earlier, let me point out uh, Texas had been spending a great deal of its resources in moving toward what would be called or what is called green energy with more solar, more windmills, and not if that's what any area relies on, there are going to be times when you don't have energy. And that means you've got to have twice as many transmission lines going from something that you know you can count on to the same users. But aside from the additional cost, the Texas grid went down earlier this year, but there had been a study previously, an analysis that indicated that Texas needed to winterize its natural gas facilities so that that would always be there. Well, Texas was so busy trying to be green that they didn't winterize what was needed in time of emergency. And so those were areas that froze up because of the winter storm. That's probably not going to be a major problem for Puerto Rico having facilities freeze up, but it does point to the fact, again, if you're relying totally on green energy, you better have standby ready to go. And Texas, unfortunately, didn't due to this pushing of more green energy without taking care of what you could rely on in a disaster. And by the way, the $2.2 billion in grants and federal loans to the green energy concave mirrors that magnified sunlight at 3 different towers. They burned up one of the towers, so in a quick, cheap way to deal with it, they quickly built a natural gas facility. So I would just encourage that for Puerto Rico's consideration. It's cheap. It helps clean up the air and is can be amazingly helpful. Mr. LeBoy, I wanted to ask you, and if it's been answered, I missed it and I apologize. But how much damage remains unrepaired, unfixed, unreplaced from prior hurricanes and storms with regard to the grid or the generation of electricity?
Yes. So first of all, again, as I stated in my testimony, our role as recipients and administrators is to provide the technical support to the recipient, in this case,
Okay, so you don't know. Let me ask, is there anybody that knows how much has that was damaged in prior storms in the way of generating facilities or capacity or grid that is not repaired? Anybody know? Well, if nobody knows, how do these experts? Yes, please.
I'm sorry. I can offer, and perhaps Fernando Hill can chime in, but a very large, the vast majority of the FEMA funding that's been assigned for the T&D system here is a result of the storms and then the Build Back Better exercise. So I can tell you today that very little of it has been fully restored to a new and fully functioning system. That's in fact the exercise that's in front of us.
Well, okay, that's what I wanted to know, and that
You
sounds
hear me,
like
Congressman?
yes. Go ahead.
After my name is Agustin Irizarry.
Right.
After about a year, around a year after Hurricane Maria, 99% of the people in Puerto Rico had electricity. It took a year or so, but the system was restored.
Yep, but apparently there's still a lot of equipment and things that need to be replaced or repaired. But I mean, we have that situation here. You run out of electricity, you can get it up and going, but for the long term, it's not helpful. But thank you, Professor. It just sounds like we got a lot of work remaining to do in Puerto Rico, and I appreciate your being here. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Gohmert. Let me now invite the gentleman